My name is Rachel. I'm 34, and at the time this happened, I was working as a staff accountant for a mid-sized firm downtown. I've never been a particularly nervous person. I run 3 miles every morning before work. I travel alone. I take the parking garage attached to our building every single day. I've been doing it for 4 years. The garage has 7 levels. I always park on level 4 because it's closest to the sky bridge that connects directly to our building's lobby. It was a Tuesday in November. I'd stayed late to finish a quarterly report, which meant it was just past 8 o'clock when I finally packed up. The building clears out by 6:30 most nights. I knew the garage would be nearly empty. I stepped off the elevator on level 4 and immediately noticed how quiet it was. Not unsettling quiet, just the kind of quiet you get when the ventilation system kicks off and there's nothing else making noise. My car was about 40 spots down, near the far stairwell. I could see it from the elevator, the dark blue Honda, right where I'd left it. Nothing looked off. I pulled my keys out of my coat pocket and started walking. The first thing I noticed was a smell, something chemical, faint, like someone had spilled a cleaning product somewhere on the level. I thought maybe maintenance had been through. I kept walking. About 20 feet from my car, I noticed one of the fluorescent lights near the stairwell was flickering. It had been fine that morning. The section of the garage closest to my car was cycling between bright and almost completely dark every few seconds. I told myself it was just a bulb going. Old building. It happens. I hit the unlock button on my key fob. The lights flashed once. I heard the familiar beep. I was reaching for the door handle when I noticed the stairwell door was open. Not wide open, just slightly ajar. Maybe 4 inches. Enough to see the darkness of the stairwell beyond it, but not enough to see anything else. I stood there for a second. Stairwell doors in that garage are heavy fire doors. They close on their own through a hydraulic hinge. I'd never once seen one stay open. You almost have to prop them to keep them from swinging shut. I looked around the level. The flickering light made everything look wrong. My shadow was stretching and shrinking every few seconds. I looked back at the door. It moved, not all the way. Maybe half an inch, slow, like someone on the other side had shifted their weight. I didn't breathe. Then I heard it. A sound from behind the door. Not a footstep, not a voice. Just the soft exhale of someone breathing. Controlled, patient. The sound of someone who had been very still for a very long time. I got in the car. I didn't look back. I didn't grab the seatbelt. I started the engine. The door swung open. I saw boots. Dark work boots on the concrete. I reversed out of the spot. He was tall. A hood. He didn't run. He just watched me. I hit the down ramp too fast. My tires shrieked. The smell was stronger near the stairwell. I realized that as I drove past it. That chemical smell. Sharp. Like something used to clean up something else. I didn't stop at the attendant booth. I swiped my pass at the arm without slowing down. I drove 4 blocks before I remembered to turn my headlights on. I called building security from my car. They sent 2 people up to level 4. They found the stairwell door closed when they got there. They found nothing else. What they did tell me, and this stayed with me, was that the camera on level 4 had been pointed at the ceiling since sometime around 6 p.m. that evening. The mounting had been rotated. They said it could have been maintenance. They said that twice. I still park in that garage. Different level now. Always level 2, closest to the ground exit. I never found out who owned those boots. I don't know how long he'd been standing in that stairwell before I got there. I'm Marcus. I work nights in the emergency department at a hospital in the city. I was 29 when this happened, and I just finished a brutal 12-hour shift. 2 traumas. 1 code, the kind of night that leaves you hollow. It was about 6:40 in the morning. The sun was technically up, but the hospital's attached parking structure faces west, so the lower levels stay dim until mid-morning. I park on level 3. I've been parking there for over 2 years because the stairwell exits directly next to the employee entrance, which means I don't have to walk through the main eBay after a bad night to get to my car. Small thing. Matters a lot when you're exhausted. I was the only person in the elevator going up. I had my bag over one shoulder, my badge still clipped to my scrubs. I was thinking about nothing, just the drive home, just my bed, the elevator. Opened onto level 3. I stepped out, normal, quiet. I could smell exhaust from the level below. Someone had recently come or gone. My car was 20 feet ahead, in the 3rd spot from the elevator bank. I noticed a white sedan parked in the spot directly next to mine. I didn't recognize it. It hadn't been there when I arrived the evening before. I walked toward my car. I clicked. My key fob, my car beeped. And as I got closer to the white sedan, I noticed the window on the driver's side was down about 3 inches. Not all the way, just cracked. At 6:40 in the morning, in November, in Philadelphia, I thought maybe someone had forgotten to close it. Maybe they'd parked the night before and left in a hurry. I opened my own car door, tossed my bag in the passenger seat, and paused. There was condensation on the inside of the white sedan's window. The kind that builds up when something warm is breathing inside a cold car. I told myself it was probably a dog. Lots of people leave dogs in their cars for a minute while they run into the hospital. But the hospital's visitor hours don't start until 8. There'd be no reason for anyone to be parked here at this hour with a dog. I sat in my own car. I put the key in. I didn't start it. I looked at the white sedan in my side mirror. The condensation was still forming, actively. New droplets appearing on the cold glass. I watched the window crack, not the one that was already open, the back window. Rear passenger. Side, sliding down about an inch. Then stopping. Someone was in the back seat. They had been watching me walk to my car. I started my engine. A hand appeared at the rear window. Just the fingers, pale, resting on the door frame. Not moving. Just resting. I reversed out fast. My bag slid off the seat. The fingers disappeared. The rear door of the white sedan opened. I heard it more than saw it. That hollow clunk of a car door. In an enclosed garage, I hit the ramp. I didn't look in my rear view. The exhaust smell was thick on the ramp. My eyes were watering. I was on the street in less than 30 seconds. My hands were leaving damp prints on the steering wheel. I sat at the light half a block from the hospital and finally looked in the mirror. The garage entrance was empty. Nobody. Followed. Nobody came out. I reported it to hospital security when I got home and called them from my car. They sent someone up. The white sedan was gone by the time they reached level 3. No plates on record because I hadn't thought to look. Security reviewed the garage camera for that level. The angle didn't cover my parking spot directly. They could see me walking to my car. They could see the white sedan. They could not see the rear door area where the window had opened. They told me the sedan had likely been there since before the cameras cycled at midnight. I never found out who was in the back seat or how long they'd been waiting there. I still park at the hospital. Level 1 now, right next to the security booth. Even on the nights, the security guard isn't in it. I'm Diane. I'm a real estate agent and I was 41 when this happened. Part of my job means I spend a lot of time showing properties, which means a lot of time parking in unfamiliar places. garage structures attached to mixed-use developments, parking decks near commercial listings, that kind of thing. I'd probably parked in 50 different garages that year alone. You get comfortable. Maybe too comfortable. The listing was a condo unit in a high-rise in Midtown. I'd been there twice before to do walkthroughs. The building had an attached garage that residents use, but visitors and agents park in a public structure 2 blocks away. 6 levels, automated pay terminals, no attendance. I'd used it on my first visit and had no issues. It was a Thursday afternoon showing, scheduled for 2 o'clock. I finished around 3. The garage had been moderately busy when I arrived. By the time I got back, the afternoon lull had set in and most of the street-level spots were empty. I took the elevator to level 5, where I'd parked. I remember thinking, the garage smelled different on the upper level. Less like exhaust, more like concrete and something else I couldn't quite name. Metallic, almost. My car was near the middle of level 5. I remember pressing the fob twice to double-check my own parking spot. I'd been in enough garages that week that I was second-guessing myself. The lights blinked. Spot 5 to 22. That was it. As I walked toward it, I passed a black SUV parked facing outward. Nothing strange about it. But as I got even with the front bumper, I noticed the engine was running. Idle. Just sitting there running, with no one visible through the windshield. I thought maybe someone had remote started it and was on their way. Up, I kept walking. I got to my car. I put my portfolio bag in the trunk and noticed a small slip of paper tucked under my windshield wiper. I thought it was a parking notice or an ad. I unfolded it. It had a time written on it. Just a time. Handwritten. 3:04 p.m. And below that, in the same handwriting, a single word. Nice. I looked at my phone. It was 3:07. Someone had written that note and put it on my car within the last 3 minutes. I looked back at the black SUV. The engine was still running. The windows were tinted. I couldn't see anything through them. I stood very still. The SUV's reverse lights came on, got in my car, and locked the door. My hands were shaking so much. I dropped my key fob between the seats. I heard the SUV move. Slow. It didn't pull out of the spot. It rolled toward me. Inches. Stopping directly behind my car. I couldn't see the driver. I couldn't back out. I pressed my hand on the horn. 3 long blasts. The sound bounced off every wall. The SUV moved forward. Back. Into its spot. I reversed out. I drove to the down ramp. At the turn for level 4. I glanced up. The SUV had pulled out again. It was at the top of the ramp. Just sitting there. Headlights on. Not following. Just watching me leave. I drove directly to a gas station 2 blocks from the garage and sat in the lot for 15 minutes with the engine running. I called Atlanta PD non-emergency. They took a report. Without a plate number, I'd been too rattled to look. There wasn't much they could do. What I couldn't explain, and still can't, is the timing on that note. 3:04. I'd been on level 5 for maybe 90 seconds before I found it. That means whoever wrote it had been watching me for at least part of my walk from the elevator. Maybe longer. Maybe from before I even arrived. I still show properties. I still use public parking garages. But I take a photo of every note left. On my car now, and I always look up the plate number of any running vehicle near where I'm parked. The word nice still bothers me more than anything else. Not threatening. Not explicit. Just nice. I keep thinking about what exactly they meant by it.